Okay, so this video will tackle the probable reason why George R.R. Martin has been taking so long to finish writing The Winds of Winter, and why he keeps on struggling even after 11 years or whatever. We're gonna get the the obvious out of the way. Uh, the man has way too many, side quests. He um, he tackles way too many things at the same time. All sorts of fucking projects, all sorts of fucking, TV shows and prequels and sequels and what have you, side stories. Uh, my view is first finish the main story with the main characters that we care about as your readers. After you've finished the main story, the main timeline, the main plot lines, then you can write all the secondary nonsense and all the trivia you want, right? Anyway, and I think that George has a couple of voices that keep on chirping in his ears, telling him to, do this, do that. Here's a script. Here is a screenplay, etc., etc. The man, gets involved in all sorts of things. He does all sorts of interviews. You know, he, uh, he bought a fucking cinema or whatever. He bought a fucking train. What I'm trying to say is that the man has way too many projects, way too many hobbies, and of course his writing will be delayed because of this. Okay. Um, Another reason that I hear is that the end of A Game of Thrones was so terrible that it kind of just, I don't know, shocked or scared George, and that is why he cannot write the end. I mean, The Winds of Winter. And this to me doesn't make any sense, because the show is one thing and the books are another. So this is not a good excuse. This is not a good alibi. The show has nothing to do with the books. We all know that pretty much after season 5 or so, the show was a different kind of beast entirely to his, material, right? So using this as an excuse that, oh boy, the show was just so terrible that, oh boy, I'm kind of scared because I don't know. It's a bad excuse. It doesn't make any sense, right? Listen, uh, another thing is, I'm a writer myself. I've published a couple of books, and George has been writing this for a long time, right? And there's no doubt in my mind that he suffers from some sort of fatigue, right? That maybe perhaps he's a bit tired or bored of A Song of Ice and Fire. No doubt about it. It happens to all of us, It happens to all of us, even though he is an extremely uh, experienced and seasoned writer. If you do the same thing for a long time, it can be tedious. It can become a drag or boring or dull. You know, uh, you might be oversaturated and you might want to do something else. This seems like a good explanation as to why it's taking him so long, because there's no doubt in my mind that he had moments where he was just unable to write anything about A Song of Ice and Fire, because it happens when you do the same thing over and over again for a long time, for a long period of time. It becomes dull, right? There's no doubt about it. It happened to me with my first novel, which is, of course, in 2 volumes, and there were moments where I was just, I was done with it for a while. I've watched a lot of videos tackling this subject as to why George hasn't yet finished uh, The Winds of Winter, but I have never heard this probable explanation, and I'm going to tell you here. There's no doubt in my mind that there's some sort of contractual obligation, some sort of contractual stipulation that says, oh, you want to publish, Fire and Blood Part 2 or whatever, you know, guess what? You're gonna have to, promote this show or do this or write an episode of this or House of the Dragon. Oh, you wanna publish Winds of Winter? Well, you gotta talk. You gotta say nice things about Game of Thrones or whatever. You understand what I'm trying to say is that there's some sort of contractual obligation that obviously takes him from his writing, and this obligation consists of promotion, uh, you know, doing tours, doing interviews, promoting certain things, you know, going, from continent to continent, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? There has to be some sort of contractual bylaw that obligates him to do certain things, right? And that seems like it might be possible. Okay. And yes, it has taken him a long time, but if you've read the books, right? I have made reviews of each book if you want to check them out. But if you read the books, you will understand that A Song of Ice and Fire is an extremely complex a book series. Okay, we have crazy amounts of characters, we have crazy amounts of plot lines, we have crazy amounts of secrets and interwoven uh, mysteries. Right, we have all of these questions that haven't been answered, and now all of these fucking characters are making moves, moving on the chessboard, doing all sorts of things, right? Making moves, strategies, etc., etc., going places. They have to meet here, they have to meet there, they have to come up with alliances, etc., etc. What I'm saying is that he has a lot on his plate when it comes to his series, right? It's extremely convoluted, complex, sophisticated. It is, I have to say, he wrote himself in a dead end because he has all of these plot lines and all of these characters. There are too many of them. Like, I'm a writer myself. You couldn't pay me to write something this, like, what is the word? Like, it's too convoluted. There's just too much, too many characters, too many plot lines, right? You can pay me to write something like this. I need, when I have a handful of characters and a handful of plot lines. Those are manageable. A Song of Ice and Fire at this point is extremely unmanageable. All right, there's just too much going on at the same time. And not only that, there's a lot of stuff going in the background that we don't really know about. We just hear a couple of hints here and there, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's hard to keep track of, right? And in his blogs, he says, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things are changed. He does rewrites and re-edits, and he, deletes whole chapters, and then he writes other chapters, and then he changes things, and then he goes back, and then he goes forward, and then he's in the middle, and his erasing stuff and writing new stuff. It is a chore, right? It is, torture, right? It's too much. I would say that it is too much. So these are a few reasons, probably the main reasons why he has struggled for such a long time with The Winds of Winter, right? He, He's occupying himself with other stuff that doesn't really matter. I mean, who cares about all of these fucking prequels and, you know, secondary shows, right? Finish your damn main story. Nobody cares about all of this trivia and all of this miscellaneous stuff. No doubt in my mind that he has a lot of obligations that he has to fulfill, right? Contractually, no doubt about it. And of course, probably, exhaustion, fatigue, burnout, right? If you engage in a story for such a long time, you tend to you tend to be get bored, right? And the final one is, of course, his book series is extremely convoluted, complex, way too many characters, way too many plot lines. He wrote himself in a corner, and there's no doubt in my mind that it is a difficult task to get himself out of that situation. There's just too much going on at the same time, and it involves a lot of characters, right? So that's pretty much it. If you want to support this channel, you know, if you want to support your boy, I got a few books published on Amazon. You can go there and buy them. The link will be down below. Thanks for watching, right? And hopefully, someday soon, we will get that Winds of Winter. See ya!